1620 Main is a project for CityHousingHamilton, and it's a 6-story mass timber passive house design. Knowing that the folks at CityHousingHamilton had been in and actually toured through some of those other buildings that we've been a part of, it was great to know that we had someone who was already interested, who had already bought in and knew that it was a good fit for them. And so then it just became the challenge of, well, how can we make this solution flexible enough to adapt to the site and adapt to their needs?
There was an incredibly accelerated timeline, and then adding that passive house certification into the mix just created kind of some new challenges that we weren't expecting, and how to make sure we were still meeting the rapid housing targets in terms of the timing and the timeline, and also adding kind of those components of getting a passive house project certified into that accelerated schedule.
With how ambitious the goals were for this project in terms of what it was pushing the boundaries of, in terms of building code, in terms of performance, and actually certifying those things, we definitely needed the city, in this case, the municipality, both in terms of the approvals authorities, but also as the client, having them all bought in and being able to work through challenges and hurdles that came up. It was a really collaborative atmosphere that we were working in, and that was really special. And I think anytime that local governments can push on that, of like bringing together a team who they know they can work with and who's vested in seeing a successful delivery of a project, that's really key.
City Housing Hamilton, we are the largest affordable housing provider here in the city of Hamilton. We also have a development team that I lead, and we are redeveloping and build buildings like the one we're sitting in right now. When we laid out the initial site plan approval and the design of the site and the parking and the electrical, we had left a rectangle on the site saying future phase 2. And at the time we had laid that out, we didn't have any plans to actually proceed with the building immediately. We just knew that that was a good idea to do. Rapid Housing Round 3 came out from the CMHC. There was an opportunity to potentially accelerate the plans of 1620 Main.
The vision for 1620 Main was fairly clear. So passive house, rapid housing, so really high level of performance using rapid methods of construction. So really just bringing a lot of elements that we've worked on through different projects all in one new project.
Work we've done through primarily the Rapid Housing Initiative that delivers different scales of prefabricated panelized housing solutions. We've started off with 4 and 3 and even 2-story versions of the same basic design, but now we've been able to push that literally and figuratively up into the 6-story realm, which is a new zone in terms of building code classification and just ambition in terms of using this innovative mass timber design.
Mass timber we've done before, passive house we've done before, rapid housing we've done before, so maybe the only thing that was a bit different about the vision was mixing all of them up together in a very stringent timeline.
This building was going to have what I consider to be essentially the gold standard of building science conscious buildings, ones that I know are going to perform for a long time and are going to overdo it, following the principles of lots of insulation and air tightness that a passive house sort of implies and requires. I knew that this was going to be a great project and great opportunity to showcase both mass timber but also passive house in combination.
CLT structure is new to me and very unique and exciting to be a part of. And the unique elements of the passive house design, clearly the design of the foundation and insulation around it.
I think that what the team brought to the table during that pursuit phase was juggling design and pricing, all feeding onto each other, moving at 200 miles an hour, nothing being set, so quite a big challenge. But through that, we were able to find what was the best value for the project. And I think that's what set us apart, in addition to the experience that we had. But I think that was the differentiator that made us, move to the actual delivery of the project.
We first got involved almost right away, I would say. Matt from McCallum Sather came to us and said, hey, there's this opportunity. We had already done 2 similar sort of projects with Matt and general contractor Melloul-Blamey in Kitchener. So when this opportunity came up, it was like, let's get in.
The design of the building is pretty simple, pretty straightforward, which again just is part of our rapid housing kind of prototype, is to make sure form follows function and we're being as kind of smart as possible with our design moves. But I think getting down into those really fine details with Passive House and making sure that everyone kind of understands the detail, right from trade to designer, with our envelope specialist, and we're all kind of on the same page.
Kudos to the architect, mcCallum Sather, on this project, because the compactness of the form of the building, the orientation, they made it really easy and as straightforward as possible for the building to not go above and beyond to meet the target goals that we had in terms of high performance buildings, which are tied to, the building enclosure is then tied to the thermal energy demand, like the space heating demand that we have for Passive House, and the total energy use consumption.
The idea was that it was another opportunity where we could take something that we'd done, a design and a template that we knew was successful in working with other not-for-profits of varying types. We knew that this housing solution worked for them because we got the positive feedback. We knew that it not only met the bar that they were trying to hit in terms of providing much needed housing for the people that they support, it also did so by creating spaces and an atmosphere that had a sense of warmth and well-being and some of these other great things that our solution was able to provide.
Our team adapted our approach to this project by assigning an air boss to Passive House elements. I was a dedicated member of the on-site management team who looked after all elements of Passive House for quality control and documentation. We eliminated hot work wherever possible due to the CLT structure to reduce the risk of fire.
The entire structure of the building, including the elevator shafts and the stairwells and all of that, there's 1 or 2 pieces of steel in the entire building, and there is obviously concrete foundations. And that was able to be pre-manufactured off-site. So even though we had a few delays in the building permit and getting the foundations built on site, by the time the foundations were done, a crane showed up and they were able to erect the building extremely fast.
I approach it like I approach all our projects. We need to find a way to deliver the building and have tight tolerances on our materials that we're supplying and have it done in such a way that it's going to sequence and go up as quickly as possible.
We had a very good building, but we were using a little bit too much energy compared to the targets that we had. So because of that education, if I can call it this way, and the clarity of the requirements, the outcomes that we are going to be judged on, and the role of everybody in the team to meet that, we made a collective decision to tighten the airtightness requirement as one of the measures.
We got the final air test result a number of months later, very recently. It was 0.12, which RDH, our environmental consultant, has indicated is like either the best, depending on the type of building, or it's in the top tier of airtightness for this building.
Which again would not have been made possible if we didn't have everybody at the table from day one speaking the same language. We're not at a prototype stage or pilot stage. This is a complete proof of concept that we already knew all these elements were working separately. When you start bringing them together, they still work. They work actually extremely well together with some synergies between mass timber, passive house, and rapid housing initiatives. And you have a way to have net zero ready, prefab, replicable buildings that affordable housing communities could deliver on starting tomorrow.
I think it really speaks to City Housing Hamilton's leadership and wanting to really push those boundaries and be a real leader in that space of actually saying, no, we're not just going to talk about getting close, we're actually going to get there and show that degree of leadership.
Working with mcCallum, Sather, and the team that had already done it before, they knew what had to be done, and they had helped achieve those goals, so we were able to deliver the building on time.
I think that this is a good example of how you can, the design build contract, hire a team on, get high degree of cost certainty up front, and have them deliver a project in a very quick turnaround, and actually with a very, very high level of energy efficiency. And we're looking forward to seeing how we can use what we've learned here and replicate this on future projects ourselves.